where Star Trek TNG's crew is in Lower Decks' finale. The USS Enterprise E makes a cameo appearance at the end of Star Trek Lower Decks' finale, but contrary to audience expectations, most of the iconic crew of Star Trek The Next Generation wouldn't have been aboard. The flagship of the United Federation of Planets couldn't make it to the Schrödinger field, threatening to obliterate Star Trek's prime timeline in time, leaving it up to the USS Cerritos to save the universe. The Enterprise then joined the Cerritos and other Starfleet ships at Starbase 80, which now guards the Federation's first stable wormhole to the multiverse. Star Trek Lower Decks' series finale on Paramount Plus fittingly focused on the crew of the USS Cerritos. But it's understandable that audiences who were thrilled to finally see the USS Enterprise E on Star Trek Lower Decks may have been disappointed that Star Trek The Next Generation's beloved characters didn't mingle with the cast of Star Trek Lower Decks. Star Trek Lower Decks' finale takes place in 2382, about 3 years after Star Trek Nemesis and Star Trek Picard's canonical updates on the TNG crew indicate that the Sovereign-class starship in Lower Decks' timeframe isn't quite yesterday's Enterprise that fans remember. Admiral Jean-Luc Picard Star Trek Lower Decks' finale taking place in 2382 means that Captain Jean-Luc Picard was already promoted to Admiral and placed in charge of the Federation's mission to rescue the Romulan people from their sun going supernova. Picard's admiralty was made official in 2381 and referenced at the end of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3. Picard wouldn't have been aboard the USS Enterprise E in Star Trek Lower Decks' finale. As Star Trek Picard revealed, Admiral Picard worked alongside LT Commander Raffi Musiker, Michelle Hurd, but the Romulan evacuation was abandoned in 2385 following an attack on Mars by rogue synthetics, orchestrated in secret by the Romulan Zhat Vash. Thousands of ships under construction at Utopia Planitia Fleet Yards were destroyed. Picard resigned from Starfleet in protest of the Federation turning its back on the Romulans, and Jean-Luc wouldn't return to Starfleet until 2401 in Star Trek Picard Season 2. The Luna-class USS Titan was also seen docked at Starbase 80 at the end of Star Trek Lower Decks' finale, and Captain William Riker is in command. In Star Trek Nemesis, Riker finally accepted a promotion to take over as captain of the Titan after waiting 15 years of waiting to succeed Jean-Luc Picard as captain of the Enterprise. Riker and his wife, Counselor Deanna Troi, Marina Sirtis, left the USS Enterprise E for the Titan after Star Trek Nemesis. Captain Riker and Counselor Troi appeared in Star Trek Lower Decks' Season 1 finale, and Riker returned at the start of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2. Ensign Brad Boimler, Jack Quaid, was a crewman on the Jazzy Wildman Captain Riker's Titan when Brad was split in two by a transporter accident. Boimler's clone, William Boimler, stayed on the Titan when Brad returned to the USS Cerritos, before faking his death to join Section 31 in Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3. LT Commander Data, Brent Spiner, being aboard the USS Enterprise E in Star Trek Lower Decks' finale is impossible because the beloved android died in Star Trek Nemesis 3 years before. Data sacrificed himself to destroy the deadly Theleron weapon Praetor Shinzin, Tom Hardy, planned to use to destroy the USS Enterprise E and the Federation. Data's death would hold until he was rebuilt as a more human-like synthetic and resurrected in Star Trek Picard Season 3. In Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4 finale, the animated show manages to provide a heartwarming look at where the iconic crew of Star Trek The Next Generation TNG could be during this time period, subtly weaving them into the ongoing adventures of the USS Cerritos without overshadowing the new generation of Starfleet officers. While the TNG crew isn't the central focus of Lower Decks, their legacy is felt throughout the show, and the finale allows for speculation on what roles they might now occupy within the broader Star Trek universe. Jean-Luc Picard, diplomat and Federation leader. By the time of Lower Decks, it's quite likely that Jean-Luc Picard has fully retired from Starfleet, but remains a prominent figure in galactic diplomacy. His journey in Star Trek Picard reveals that even in his later years, Picard never truly leaves the mantle of leadership. As one of the Federation's most respected figures, Picard could be seen serving as a diplomat or an elder statesman, offering advice to Starfleet officers, political leaders, and even alien species. In Lower Decks, Picard's influence is palpable, especially in the way Captain Freeman strives to emulate his diplomacy-first approach when facing challenging situations. While the show never explicitly states where Picard is during the finale, it's easy to imagine him continuing to work behind the scenes, helping maintain peace in the galaxy, or perhaps taking on the role of an ambassador, quietly guiding the Federation through turbulent times. William Riker, commanding the USS Titan. Commander William Riker's presence in Lower Decks has already been established, as he serves as the captain of the USS Titan. Riker, ever the charismatic and adventurous officer, is often seen taking part in daring missions and tactical engagements. His love for jazz, easygoing leadership style, and enthusiasm for exploration make him a perfect fit for the spirit of Lower Decks, and his recurring appearances throughout the series add a nostalgic flavor for fans of TNG. During the Season 4 finale, Riker's USS Titan could easily be engaged in a mission parallel to the Cerritos, perhaps dealing with more high-stakes operations that keep him from crossing paths with the Lower Deckers. However, Riker's friendship with Captain Freeman, who once served under him, is a reminder of how the TNG crew still influences and intersects with the Cerritos' adventures. Riker's presence in the galaxy ensures that he remains a vital part of Starfleet's mission to explore and protect. Deanna Troi, counselor on the USS Titan, or teaching. As Riker's wife, Deanna Troi likely remains with him aboard the USS Titan, serving as the ship's counselor. Troi's expertise in psychology and empathy has made her invaluable to any crew, helping officers process trauma, manage stress, and improve their emotional well-being. Lower Decks might not directly show her, but her presence is felt in the crew's openness to discussing emotions and mental health, themes which were not as prominent in earlier Star Trek series. Alternatively, Troi could be splitting her time between her duties on the Titan and teaching at Starfleet Academy, passing on her knowledge to a new generation of officers. Her compassion and wisdom would make her an excellent mentor for aspiring counselors or anyone seeking guidance in navigating the psychological challenges of deep space exploration. Worf, Klingon diplomat or warrior. Worf, the only Klingon to serve in Starfleet, has one of the most complex and interesting journeys of any TNG character. By the time of Lower Decks, Worf could be found in one of two distinct roles: as a diplomat, continuing his efforts to bridge the gap between the Klingon Empire and the Federation, or as a warrior, following his instinct to seek honorable combat and protect the galaxy from threats. In the Lower Decks finale, Worf's influence is hinted at through the show's interactions with Klingon culture. Worf may be working in the background to ensure that the Klingon Empire remains allied with the Federation, while still maintaining its warrior traditions. Whether he's in a formal diplomatic role or serving as a commander of a Klingon ship, Worf's presence in the universe is a testament to the legacy of peace between former enemies. Beverly Crusher, medical leader. Dr. Beverly Crusher's role in the Star Trek universe is firmly rooted in her medical expertise. During the events of Lower Decks, Crusher could be serving as the head of Starfleet Medical, pushing the boundaries of medical science and ensuring that Starfleet officers have the best healthcare available. Her dedication to saving lives and her compassionate approach to medicine would make her a natural fit for a leadership role in the medical field. Alternatively, Crusher could be continuing her work on starships, possibly as a chief medical officer aboard a new vessel. The influence of Crusher's medical ethics is reflected in the Lower Decks medical staff, particularly in how Dr. Tana, the Cerritos' chief medical officer, balances gruffness with deep care for her patients. Though,